What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB Monday, July 19th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for today's MLB slate.
And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made.
Okay guys, we have an 11-game slate tonight, so let's take a look at the pitcher position. I like Kyle Gibson, pitching against the Detroit Tigers. Kyle Gibson is giving up a .670 OPS versus righties and a .515 OPS versus switch hitters. He's facing 6 righties and 2 switch hitters, and on top of that, the Tigers have only hit 26 of his last 112 pitches. That's a .232 batting average. He's 9,100 FanDuel salary, and he's 100 less on DraftKings. Projected at 25.8 fantasy points here tonight. He has an ERA of 2.29. Record is 6-1 on the season, pitching an average of 92 pitches per game, averaging 34 fantasy points per game. He scored 25, 35, and 61 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Kyle Gibson here versus the Detroit Tigers. Okay, let's take a look at the catcher first base position. I like Trey Mancini with a 31% batting advantage over Ryan Yarbrough. Trey Mancini is batting 22% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .916 OPS versus lefties. And Ryan Yarbrough, he's pitching his worst ball versus righty batters. 10% worse than his pitch to lefties, giving up a .758 OPS versus righties. And I like this pick because Trey Mancini is 6 for 20. That's a .300 batting average and a 1.214 OPS versus Yarbrough. 3 of those 6 hits were for home runs, and 2 of them were doubles. Trey Mancini is 3,200 FanDuel salary. He's 1,700 more on DraftKings. Projected at 14.8 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 10, 18, and 4 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Trey Mancini here versus Ryan Yarbrough. Now I also like Joey Votto with an 82% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Gerald Ecoff. Joey Votto is batting 25% better versus righty pitchers, and Jared Ecoff, he pitches 57% worse to lefties as he does righties, giving up a 1.579 OPS versus lefties. Joey Votto is 1 for 4, batting .250 batting average and a 1.5 OPS versus Ecoff, because that 1 hit was for a home run. He's 2,900 FanDuel salary. He's 2,200 more on DraftKings. Projected at 12.9 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 3, 6, and 6 fantasy points in the last 3 games. And I like this pick because Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 10.5 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like I like Joey Votto here versus Jared Ecoff. Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. I like Tommy Edman with a small batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Alec Mills. Tommy Edman is batting a .619 OPS versus righties, but Alec Mills, he pitches his worst ball by far to switch hitters. 34% worse than his other pitches, giving up a 1.095 OPS versus switch hitters. Now, the reason I like this pick is because Tommy Edman is 6 for 7. That's a .857 batting average and a 2.018 OPS versus Mills. He's $2,900 FanDuel salary, and he's $1,400 more on DraftKings. Projected at 12.9 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 9 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 0, 0, and 10 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Tommy Edman here versus Alec Mills.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. I got a value play for you. Well, a value play on FanDuel for sure. Take a look at Joey Wendell with a 30% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Spencer Watkins. Joey Wendell is batting 30% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .843 OPS versus righties. Now, there's no at-bats versus Watkins yet, but Joey Wendell is only $2,300 FanDuel salary. Now, he's $2,800 more on DraftKings, so I love that FanDuel price. Projected at 9.1 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 9 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 6, 22, and 3 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Joey Wendell here versus Spencer Watkins. Okay, who do we have at the shortstop position? I like Xander Bogaerts. It's been a while since I've picked Xander Bogaerts, and he's in a good spot here tonight with a 7% batting advantage over Ross Stripling. Xander Bogaerts bats a .851 OPS versus righties, and Ross Stripling, he throws his worst ball versus righty batters, 21% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .918 OPS versus righties. Xander Bogaerts is 2 for 6 with a .333 batting average and a 1.166 OPS versus Stripling. One of those 2 hits was for a home run. He's $4,200 FanDuel salary. He's $1,200 more on DraftKings. Projected at 10.8 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 12, 6, and 22 fantasy points in his last 3 games. And I like this pick because Vegas thinks there's going to be 10.5 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Xander Bogaerts here versus Ross Stripling. Okay, moving on to the outfield position. I like Joey Gallo with a 36% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Casey Mize. Joey Gallo, he bats a little bit better versus righty pitchers, batting a .802 OPS versus righties. And Casey Mize, he throws 32% worse to lefties as he does righties, giving up a .865 OPS versus lefties. Now, I like this pick because although it's a small sample size, you can't get any better than this. He's 2 for 2 with a 5 OPS versus Mize because those 2 hits were both for home runs. He's $3,900 FanDuel salary. He's $1,600 more on DraftKings. Projected at 9.2 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 9, 0, and 28 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So we're going to see if Casey Mize is going to pitch to Joey Gallo, having hit both of his pitches for home runs or both of his at-bats for home runs, so he should at least get some walks here. So I like Joey Gallo here versus Casey Mize. I also like Jesse Winker with an 86% batting advantage over that low salary pitcher, Jared Eichhoff. Jesse Winker is batting 29% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .974 OPS versus righties. And Jared Eichhoff, he pitches his worst ball versus lefty batters, giving up a 1.579 OPS versus lefties. Now there's no at-bats versus Eichhoff yet, and Jesse Winker is only $3,300 FanDuel salary and $900 more on DraftKings. I think that makes him one of my favorite plays on the slate. He's got a lot going for him in tonight's matchup. He's projected at 14.4 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season. Now, he's been in somewhat of a slump, only scoring 3, 0, and 6 fantasy points in the last 3 games. But I think he's in a good spot to bust out of that slump here tonight. And I also like this pick because Vegas thinks there's going to be 10.5 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Jesse Winker here versus Jared Eichhoff.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.